So the first thing I'm going to show you is this is a spreadsheet that I created a long time ago. It's a I have my grandfather, maternal grandfather's family is very large. They had 1 million kids, and we know that some of the kids died quite young. So uh, my struggles with this family are how many kids do they actually have, number one, and how can I find out what happened to each of the children? How can I track them through the family records? Because on different records, different censuses, and different pieces of the different forms, the kids would fade in and out. You would see a kid on one form and then never see them again, or they would just pop up out of nowhere. Um, so what I did for this family is I created this spreadsheet. Now I did this by hand. I didn't do this. I created this years ago before ChatGPT was even a thing. Um, so down the side here, we have Anna Lisbona is my great grandmother. Gaetano is my great grandfather. And then starting with Gertrude, I have all their children, and the last child is my grandfather. Um, so because I had so many different record sets, I made this is called a pivot table. And a pivot table is when you have something like this where you've got two sets of data. I've got a bunch of different forms, which I put across the top. I have the names of each of the individual people. And then I just put X's where a person appears on a form. So, for instance, I have Umberto, who nobody ever knew existed originally because I found him I found his birth certificate just by going to the New York archives and putting the mother doing a search on birth certificates in New York for mother equal to Anna Lisbona, father equal to Gaetano Russo, and it popped up with this birth certificate for Umberto at the correct address at a reasonable time frame for these two to be having kids. And but I had never heard of him before, and neither did anybody else in my family. So the assumption is he died very young, but I wanted to keep track of him with this group. And I think Conchetta's another one where Conchetta just appears on oh no, I have a birth certificate for Conchetta. And again, I have nothing else. Whereas somebody like Uncle Willie, well, my Uncle Willie, um, he's on a million different pieces of data. I have him on all the censuses. We know what happened to him. I can track his whole life story. So what I did is I put this into ChatGPT, and I'll show you how I did it. You'll see that along the bottom, I have tabs for each of the um, the people on the list. Anna and Gaetano are together. Uh, Gertrude and Fortuna are together because we think they're the same person. So if I drill down onto each of these tabs, I put down there what is data from specific censuses. So here from the 1905 census, I have the names that they were called on that census, the address, all the information from that census. And then I have it again for the 1910 census, because those are the two that I have for them. But when I go into ChatGPT, you'll see that I specifically tell the program to just focus on this one tab. And that's the first thing that I would tell you for spreadsheets is you want to make sure that your AI program if you have multiple tabs, you want it to know what tab you're focusing on, tab or tabs plural. So what I did, and I had started this already, let's go to ChatGPT. And I'll go down to Okay. So I started this already, and the reason why I started it is because I wanted to see in advance what data it would give me. Um, so here we have this is my prompt. I did not run it through Prompt Cowboy, which I would have if I had more time. But also I wasn't sure how Prompt Cowboy would react to having a spreadsheet attached. So I figured let's just do this simply this time, and then we can play with it more. Um, so I I gave it this prompt. I specifically said, please examine the tab called Document Summary. That's the one I want. Um, I told ChatGPT what to expect in the data. The more information you give an AI program, the better it's going to be at doing what you want it to do. So it's you don't want it to guess if it doesn't have to. If you created the spreadsheet, you know what it does. So here's the pivot table with the members of the Russo family, the columns, exactly how I explained to you. And then, of course, I forgot to actually attach the document. So I have ChatGPT coming back saying, please attach the file. So when I did that, I attached the file. And to attach a file, you just click on this little plus sign here. I think Gemini may have a paperclip instead of a plus sign, but it's all pretty intuitive. And then it tells me, okay, it's analyzed the spreadsheet and it gives me the summary of my summary. It talks about the census coverage, life events, um, all the different types of records, and then it goes into research patterns and gaps about how the older family members are better uh, defined through censuses and different kinds of BMD records, where younger methods members are birth, marriage, military, and Social Security, which makes sense because they're in New York and all of the younger members of the family, I can't get death records for without a lot of hassle because of privacy laws. So I'm still working on those. It also points out what I pointed out to you, that Conchetta and Umberto really only have a couple of records. And now it gives me some suggestions. It can turn it into a summary for a genealogical proof. It could help me with creating next steps for research for people, or it gives me, if I wanted to teach it to you, which I'm just kind of winging it. So let's say I want to take its first suggestion and I'll say, please turn this into a single paragraph with style summary. And it gives me uh, the basic text of what it had given me up above, but it gives it to me in narrative form as opposed to just a set of bullets. ChatGPT loves its bullets. It will give you anything in a bulleted list if you let it. And now let's do the next steps bullets per person. And again, it'll give me by person suggestions for what to research next. And remember, it's looking just at that first page. So if I have further information in any of the other pages of the spreadsheet, it should not be considering those. And it gives me everyone per page. So now, if I want to do, going back to the original question, which was how to when you're doing research, how to move research, research that's in spreadsheets into uh, an AI program and massage them, which is what we just did. Now I want to focus on data that's already in ChatGPT that I want to pull back out into a spreadsheet. So it gives me this idea, convert this into a formal research plan table. So this is where I can tell ChatGPT, I want this in Excel, give me a spreadsheet back. So I'll use its own prompts because if it gave it to me, it should understand it well. Um, and I want it in Excel format. And this is important. I'm telling it to give it to me in Excel because I have Excel on my machine. If you have Google spreadsheets, or you have if you're on a Mac and you have the Apple version of spreadsheets, then you want to tell it to give it back to you in the format that you could use. For me, that's Excel. So we'll give it a minute to think about it. Sometimes this stuff takes a little while. And here we have the spreadsheet that ChatGPT generated that I can now download. And if you click on that little down arrow, it'll download. But let's look at what it says first. The workbook includes a single sheet, so it's one tab with 4 columns, the individual, the research objective, the proposed records, and the outcome. So let's download this and take a look at it. Right, that's my original. Let's let the other one open. Okay, and it's not pretty. You know, I'd have to play with it to make it more a little easier to read. But it does give me everything in the spreadsheet that I want. Um, and it gives me a list of records and outcomes for those records, which is what I asked it for. It's simple, it's quick, and from here, like I said, I can make it pretty, or make it easier to read. Here we can, I always like bolding the columns, and if you don't know this, if you click on format and auto fit, it will take either, depending on if you're highlighting columns or rows, it will automatically fit the size of the column or row to the longest piece of data in that column or row. So it's just like 2 quick clicks and this looks a whole lot better. So, and now I can go from here looking at that. And I mean, ChatGPT, when I say ChatGPT, I usually mean AI programs in general. I just happen to use ChatGPT a lot. They It can do this with all kinds of data, converting it into spreadsheets. I've been using this research plan because that's the direction that the answers to the prompts have given me, but you can feed it in pages worth of handwritten notes from a visit to an archive. You can feed it in data pages from a census. You can feed it in really whatever you need help with. It can organize it for you, and if you wanted certain information back out in a spreadsheet, you can get it that way. So that's that. That is the question that was what was sent to me. So now we have a little extra time. I was going to let this run for about 45 minutes. So if anyone else has any questions, please let me know. You can raise your hand if you have a question. Okay. Or you can put something in the chat if you would like to put something in the chat. And in the meantime, one of the things that I wanted to suggest was if you haven't already signed up for my weekly newsletter, which is on all different kinds of tech topics. I do a lot on AI, but I also do basic stuff like what you saw in Excel. I teach you how to make pivot charts like the ones that I made. Um, we talk about malware. We talk about all kinds of storage issues. I'm pretty rabid about making sure that everybody backs up their data. Um, there's all kinds of different subject matter within the intersection of genealogy and technology. So I would definitely suggest that you sign up for the newsletter. The link to the sign up page is in the Family Tree Tech website and on Facebook. So if you look at the Facebook page, which I think most of you came from Facebook, if you look at my Facebook page, there's the link there to sign up for the newsletter. And I'm also on Legacy Family Tree webinars. I've got a bunch of videos there. And in fact, two of my videos were listed as the highest ranking tech videos for the year of 2025. So I was pretty happy about that. If there are no questions, I think we can wrap it up here. Oh, wait, I do have one. Yes, let me go back to Prompt Cowboy. The question is, when you mentioned using Prompt Cowboy, when would I use this? And can I tell you more about it? Absolutely. I love Prompt Cowboy. I use Prompt Cowboy. I recently discovered it and I use it almost all the time. I tend not to use it only when I have very esoteric data. So, for instance, when I was putting together the prompt about my Russo analysis spreadsheet, then I don't think that Prompt Cowboy would know much about that because the Russos are my family. I know them a whole lot better than the rest of the internet does. But when I'm doing any kind of a general, either a research prompt or a prompt about setting up, for me as a business owner, a lot of what I do with the newsletter and the website are concerned with being able to be seen. So I do a lot of SEO, a lot of programming kinds of things. So if I wanted to do, from a genealogist perspective, not from a business owner's perspective, let's say I wanted to create a research plan. So I might say, um, please help me create a research plan, genealogical research plan, because again, Prompt Cowboy does not know that I'm a genealogist. I need to tell it that. Genealogical research plan for, what are we going to research? All of my well, three of the four main branches of my family tree were Italian families that settled in Brooklyn around the 1900s, between 1900 and 1910. And they were all Catholic. One of the things that I've been trying to do that I've had minimal luck with is researching Catholic baptism records, because in New York, at least, or in Brooklyn, they tend to hold on to those pretty tight. So please help me create a genealogical research plan to find Catholic baptism records in Brooklyn, New York, in from 1900 to 1910. And you know what? I'm going to put Italian in there because certain uh, churches I know the churches in the area in a time period, you had your Irish churches and you had your Italian churches. You basically had your local community churches, and the communities tended to be single nationality, and the masses would be said in different languages. And so I want to focus on the Italians. And for me, that would be a prompt that I would start with in ChatGPT. But now, if I put it into Prompt Cowboy, and I click enter, which is the arrow here, Prompt Cowboy comes back out and converts my prompt, which really is one sentence. And this whole great prompt is what it comes back with. So it likes to break things out into situation, task, objective, and knowledge. So the task is the part that I usually, it tends to mirror the what I put in. I focus on the task, what I wanted to do. But what I like about Prompt Cowboy is that it gives a lot of background, and the background is the situation and the knowledge that it should consider while it's doing this. So it really helps chat AI programs hone in on exactly what you want. So this is Prompt Cowboy's first stab at this prompt. But then again, on the right-hand side, it gives me a list of questions that I can answer that it will take into consideration in this prompt, making it even better. So what specific ancestors are you researching? So let's say I'm researching the children of Anna Lisbona Russo, who was living in Brooklyn, New York from 18, I think she came in 89 and she passed away in 1945. What research, it says here, what research have I already done? Well, I have found a few birth certificates, but no baptism records. And I also want to put in that Anna Lisbona Russo had an estimated 14 children. They should give her a medal. Do I know the Italian parish? I don't know the parish. I know the region is, again, it's Brooklyn, New York, which is also known as Kings County. Okay, and anything else I might want to know? You know what this is asking? This is asking about where they were in Italy. I have no idea where she was in Italy. I do know they were in southern Italy. What makes this even more fun for me is that my great grandmother Anna Lisbona was an orphan, and there are Italian orphans are plentiful, and they're very hard to research. So after I put in all this information, I'm going to click on Improve Prompt. and it thinks about the prompt it gave me. And you see, it got even more specific. So it still has the situation, task, objective, and knowledge, but it goes even more into detail, incorporating everything that I have put in here on the right-hand side. So, in fact, it says things like the Southern Italian Catholics were in Red Hook, Carroll Gardens, Bushwick, and Bensonhurst. I know that I definitely know that they lived for a while in Red Hook, so that makes sense to me. Um, and let's see, the Diocese of Brooklyn. 14 children, it spans multiple decades, that makes sense. So now I'm going to take from this one sentence prompt with a couple of questions from them. I got this whole big thing. So now I copy it. I'll open, you know what, let's do this in Gemini. I've done this in ChatGPT for this whole program. Let's try Gemini for this. Let me open up my Gemini program. Give me 1 second. So here, and I have a free version of Gemini that I have through my Google business account, which gives me, I believe, a little bit more ability to put in data and create images and stuff than the free version. But Gemini definitely also has the free version that you can use. So that is the entire prompt that I got from Prompt Cowboy. I'm going to put it in and we'll see what Gemini comes back with. Raising a family of 14 in early 20th century Brooklyn is a massive undertaking. Well, that I know that. Believe me, I know that. So they're talking about cluster research, looking at almost like the fan club, looking at the children as a group, and because they're in tight-knit enclaves, their church records are more descriptive. Well, let's hope so. Okay, so and now it gives me the steps that I want, the research that I want. So mapping the whole parish, which yes, you have to figure out what parish they came from. It gives me some suggestions. Using civil records to find church records, definitely. Accessing records and the large family obstacles. So, and now it gives me some suggestions. Does it want me to have it generate a formal inquiry letter? So, you know, all of those AIs tend to have calls to action afterwards. What do you want to do next? So that's a quick run through on Prompt Cowboy. I love it for two reasons. One, it helps me improve my prompts. And again, I said this before, I learn more about creating prompts every time I see it do its work. So I know now, even if I was writing one by hand, having sections such as situation, task, objective, and knowledge really helps ChatGPT. AI. Sorry, I keep saying ChatGPT. Um, so that's it. We are at 45 minutes. I hope you enjoyed this first webinar of what will be a monthly series. And I think that this went pretty well. I definitely would love to hear your feedback, either on the Facebook page or subscribe to my newsletter. You can check out my website and contact me there. It's familytreetech.com. And I'm looking forward to hearing what you say. All right. So everybody have a good month. If you are in the path of this upcoming storm, good luck. We're supposed to get somewhere between a foot and a foot and a half, and my husband's already out there salting. And we'll all get through it, and it's a good week to stay in and do some genealogy. So have a good day, everyone, and have a good weekend. Okay, take care. Bye.
Thank you.